Hello.
Hello, welcome back to the channel, Spirit of Adventure. We are Kath and Andy.
Boy, have we had a drama since we got back.
Yeah, we have. We've had Spirit now for almost 10 years.
Almost 10 years.
And we've done 167,500 miles or something in it, 21 different countries. And in that time, we have never had a problem with her. She's just purred along beautifully and asked everything that she's done everything that we've asked her, hasn't she?
Absolutely.
And then that all changed this year. We came back, as most of you know, we came back from the Arctic, and once things started to thaw out, things little niggles that we'd thought were just sort of age related for Spirit became more apparent, didn't they?
Yeah.
One of them was a big vibration, and there was also a rattle as well, which we've had for a couple of years, I think.
Well, actually, when you come to think of it, the vibration has been there on a very, very low grade for probably about a year. I've noticed that now everything's better, I've noticed that I was modifying my driving a little bit to stop this vibration. And but yes, and then this rattle on tick over.
Yeah. So when we start the vehicle up, it was really lumpy, and then there was like a metallic rattle, and it sounded like a heat shield rattling against the exhaust, or that sort of noise. And so we asked Volkswagen about 2 years ago.
Yeah, we've asked them.
We've asked them about 4 times, I think, to have a look at this rattle for us, and every single time can't find anything. I'm like, okay, it can't be that important because they've obviously checked the vehicle. And off we've gone on our various travels, expeditions, whatever we've been doing. None the wiser. And then was it February?
Yeah, we were just due to go to Spain 2 weeks later.
Yeah. And a light came on the dash, and it was a coil light, which can mean various other things. So obviously it needs a diagnostic plug-in in to find out what the actual fault code is. We rang Volkswagen. We can't get you in until such and such of March, which was the day we were travelling down to Spain. So like, well, that's no good. Let's go and see if we can get this sorted somewhere else. Anyway, we eventually got to a garage who quite happily plugged it in, gave us a diagnostic, told us what the fault was, and also told us that they couldn't do it. They didn't have the facilities to do it, but they gave us the diagnostic readout. Now Volkswagen wanted £99 for that. These guys just gave it to us, which was pretty amazing of them. And they gave us a name of a garage, didn't they, to go to, who deal with only German vehicles, Volkswagen, Audi, Mercedes, etc. And we went to them. We took them the paper and said, look, we've had this done somewhere else. If you want to do your own diagnostic, that's absolutely fine. We don't mind. And explain what the problem was. And he said, yeah, that's okay. We'll get that booked in. And I said, while I'm here, I've got this rattle on tick over. Goes away when you put your foot on the accelerator. And also vibration. And told him when it was. So if we're in cruise control, particularly, if we're going up a hill just before the gearbox kicks down, so the engine's labouring slightly, vibration was, after the Arctic, was getting really bad, wasn't it?
It was
absolutely
unbelievable.
stupid.
It made you cringe. It was so bad. It kind of came up in this big whoosh and shook through the whole vehicle, didn't it?
Yeah.
By the time we'd got to this point.
And as soon as it dropped, the gearbox dropped down a gear, went away.
went away.
So if we're driving, instead of the cruise control, we just put our foot down so that it kicks down and it wouldn't be as bad. And I said it sounds like it's coming from, or it feels like it's coming from the centre of the vehicle. And he'd never seen the vehicle at this point. And he said, is it a 4Motion? I said, yes. He said, it sounds like your prop shaft. And I'm like, well, that kind of works, yeah. So we left the van with them, didn't we? So we had the fault code, we had the rattle, and we had the vibration. Now Volkswagen has said that the rattle they couldn't find. The vibration, they said they'd repaired it by
replaced the wheel bearing.
Yeah, the back left-hand wheel bearing, the ABS sensor, and the wheel bearing. They said, oh yeah, we sorted out the vibration. As soon as we drove it out, no, they hadn't. The vibration was still there. So anyway, Spirit went in, and we had probably about a week to go before we went on our holiday. and they said that they would try and get it in to sort these problems out for us. The fault code was the exhaust recirculation valve, and after 167,000 miles, it wasn't too bad actually. It's done really well. So yeah, she went in, and the diagnosis for the rattle was the largest, because there's 2 flywheels in this. So it was the largest of the flywheel, and he said when they stripped everything down to check it, the flywheel was moving like this. And he says it's a known noise.
It is actually, because I googled it, and the first thing that comes up, if you put in T5 rattle on tick over, there it is.
Why we hadn't done that previously, I don't know.
Because we're not mechanics, we thought Volkswagen
Yeah.
were fixing it for us.
So yeah, so that was an ouch, but we know what the problem is. The vibration, they tested it on a rolling road to find the vibration. They then took the prop shaft off. They then tested it again. The vibration was gone, which is a good diagnostic to find out that it's the prop shaft. So that was sent off to a separate company who specialise in prop shafts, and they carried on with all the rest of the work. When they'd fixed all the engine stuff, the flywheel and the valve, they were starting to put everything, the front end of the vehicle, back together, and he noticed that there was wetness around the bottom of the radiator. So he checked that, and there was about 1 litre of coolant missing, and it needed a new radiator. Now, the litre of coolant meant that in the header tank, it was probably 1.5 inches below
About that far below.
minimum.
Yeah.
She'd just come out of Volkswagen after having a service and a full vehicle inspection. Now, this hadn't just dropped out overnight, otherwise it would have been all over the garage. This is something that's been happening over time. Admittedly, I should have found it when I'm doing the checks. I didn't, that's my bad. But when you're paying for someone to service your vehicle, you expect them to look for all the important juices that go into the engine. So yeah, that was a bit annoying. So then we had to have a new radiator. So things were starting to mount up, weren't they?
Yeah.
Um,
But actually, that was the end of it, wasn't it? That was the last piece of bad news.
it was,
Apart from
well,
the length of time.
the length of time, because it went on for overall for 5.5
Nearly 6 weeks.
6 weeks. A week after we dropped it off, we should have been going down on the ferry over to Santander. So the day before, of course, we had to cancel that, and they have a 14-day cancellation policy, so you can't get your money back from them. So I thought, well, that's okay, we've got travel insurance.
Yeah, word of warning to anybody that's got caravan and motorhome, holiday and breakdown insurance.
There might be others as well that do the same.
If you break down within 14 days of going on holiday, we broke down 13 days before we went away. They won't cover
They
you
won't cover you.
for some random reason. I don't know why. That's probably when you need it most.
It's travel and breakdown
But
motor
they won't
insurance.
cover you.
They
So we
won't
weren't
cover you.
covered for the ferry either.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's just life. Get on with it, isn't it?
It is. What we could have done with that money.
Anyway, long story short, well, no, we haven't even finished yet because there's still the whole prop shaft
Yeah,
issue.
so we got everything back together. We called in actually, didn't we? Did we? Or
Yes.
did they call? I can't remember. Anyway, we were going off. We went somewhere for a coffee. We had the courtesy car, so we were going back. So they said, "Oh yeah, everything should be back together again." On the Friday, we called in. Everything's sorted, and we drove it off. As I'm driving it back, getting up to about 50 miles an hour, there's a vibration. Now he said, the guy at the garage said, "Oh, your wheels might need balancing." They didn't before it went in, but I thought, a weight could have dropped off or anything like that, so that's fine. As I feel this vibration, it's not a wheel balance sort of vibration. I knew there was something else going on, and my first thought was, I bet the prop's not balanced. So rang them up immediately. I said, "Look, this is not right. It's definitely not a wheel. I don't think it's a wheel balance. It definitely wasn't doing it before. Can you just check it over?" because we've just paid you rather a lot of money. And they were great. They said, yeah, we can get you in Monday morning. So we dropped it off, and they checked all the wheels. We rang them up a couple of hours later, didn't we?
We'd not heard anything for 5 hours.
Yeah.
So we called back in.
That's right.
And the poor thing was in pieces on the floor all over the garage again.
And they said they'd tested everything. They couldn't find the vibration. So they'd taken the prop off, which another company had done, and it was the prop. So the guys at the garage were livid. They were really, I suppose, embarrassed as well.
They were really embarrassed, actually, when I picked it up. They were so apologetic.
Yeah. So, kudos to them. It wasn't their fault. It was a secondary. But apparently, what did they say to you? The guys at the prop specialist had been putting it all together. And was there a part they needed that they didn't have?
Yeah, so apparently it's got 2
CV joints
at the ends, and then there's something in the middle.
A bearing.
Excuse me, a bearing in the middle. And they couldn't get the bearing in the middle, so they popped it all back together and thought it would probably be okay.
And we're paying for this.
So it went back again, and it took them 3 weeks to get the bearing in the middle. And it's come back, and it drives like a dream, doesn't it?
Yeah, and we're on a shakedown over the last couple of days, actually. And we've just taken it up and down some pretty rough roads.
They're not roads.
No, they're not, are they? So it's going to give everything a really good check, and then we're wanging our way back over, aren't we, on some roads this time. And we'll see how everything goes before we set off on our journey. But everything now feels absolutely beautiful. The startup is lovely and smooth. There's no rattle because we've now got a decent flywheel.
Go up hills without any drama.
Yeah.
It's just lovely. It's great.
It's nice. So yeah, anyone out there that has a Volkswagen, be aware of any vibrations, be aware of a rattle at startup, and when it makes sense really, because if the flywheel is loose at tick over, and then you put your foot on the accelerator, of course you've got centripetal force just holding everything together. And so yeah, be aware of that and get it fixed rather quickly, and probably don't go to Volkswagen.
Well, this has just turned into a bit of a Volkswagen bashing session, but over the years they have looked after us really, really well. It's just been, they actually got taken over by another company a few years ago, and since then everything has just slid a little bit, but we've stuck with them because we did we got on with the staff. They've known us for years, and we did trust them, but yeah, you should kind of think, actually, if things aren't right at all, just take it back and get them to properly sort it out.
I think
Don't
the problem...
just go with what they're telling you.
No. I think the problem comes, and this was really evident when we went to this other place. When we go to Volkswagen, we're speaking to a receptionist and telling a receptionist everything that we think is wrong with the van. They make their notes and go and have a word with the mechanics, one would hope, or they give the sheet to the mechanic, and does the mechanic interpret those scribbles, those writings accordingly. When we went to the other garage, we were speaking to the mechanic, and he was coming up with preferred diagnoses as we were talking to him. And I think that's the disconnect between the receptionist and the mechanic, because the Volkswagen mechanics, I mean, we've trusted them for the last 9 years, haven't we?
Yeah.
And they've kept us going, and it's our sort of thought that if you go back to the deal, you've got all those stamps, everything's going to be all right. I'm glad this time we went to the smaller garage, because I dread to think what it would have cost through Volkswagen to have everything done, and would they have picked everything up. These guys went everything, because they're passionate about Volkswagens and other German vehicles, but they've got Volkswagen transporters themselves, and they've got camper vans, so they're really passionate about it, which is amazing, isn't it? And you could see that when you were talking to them. So we will be using them for our MOT services, etc., from now on.
Yes.
Yeah. So
it's been a long one. I thought this was going to take about 4 minutes to tell you this tale. It's literally been longer than the actual tale itself.
Not quite.
Anyway, we are heading off on Wednesday.
Yep.
Channel Tunnel's booked, and we will be entertaining you with a different area. We're not going to Scandinavia for a change.
Might be snow though.
But yeah, there might still be some snow. So stick with us. Enjoy the scenery we've got to show you. And
we'll see you soon.
Take care.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.